Hey guys, welcome back to the BuzWeaver channel. And in our top stories today, I had to put it in archive today because of all the advertisement, from Newsweek. Exclusive, Tucker Carlson could face sanctions over Putin interview. Now, this is what we have talked about here in the last 6 years or so, is cancel culture. If you're not part of the narrative, if you're not part of the establishment narrative, if you're not part of the global narrative, they try to shut you down. This is why I am so glad that Elon Musk took over Twitter, because a story like this, or an exclusive for Tucker Carlson on Twitter, would have never happened under Jack Dorsey or 𝐢𝐺𝐬𝐬 and or the most recent CEO that Twitter had. It would have never happened. But here we are as an example, because these are the same people that talk about we need to have a dialogue or we need to have a conversation, but they're terrified of anyone who has influence that could sway someone from the narrative of the left, the narrative of the globalists, but more importantly, who can expose them for the hypocrisy they engage in, because that's what they do. They want to cancel people that don't subscribe to their ideology, philosophy, and worldview. It's absolutely absurd. Tucker Carlson's interview with Russian President Vladimir Putin could see the conservative pundit targeted by European Union lawmakers, current and former members of the European Parliament, have told Newsweek. It's absolutely astounding. And this is the thing that irritates me about elements of Europe and the ideology and the philosophy of Europe, is they perceive themselves, the people perceive themselves as being in a free country and having free speech, but in reality, they don't. Because as soon as they say something that is counter to government or counter to the narrative of government, they get in trouble. We've even seen it out of the UK, where individuals get arrested for posting on Facebook. It's absolutely astounding. But this is the mindset of these individuals. If you're not on their narrative, if you are not part of the program, then of course you get shut down. Carlson visited Russia this week and on Tuesday revealed he would soon be releasing an interview with the Russian leader. Carlson works in Russia, could see the former Fox News host in hot water with the EU. 𝐀𝐦𝐚𝐳𝐨𝐧, a former Belgian prime minister and current member of the European Parliament, told Newsweek. So here we have the collective globalist mindset, obviously trying to do something because they don't agree with what Tucker Carlson is doing, and that is he is exercising his right as a journalist to go and do an interview. If people want to know what's in the mind of Vladimir Putin, then you go and you talk to Vladimir Putin. You may disagree with Vladimir Putin, and I'm not here to defend him. I am not here to defend Vladimir and what he did or what he is doing in Ukraine or in parts of the world. We simply need to have a dialogue, and this is why Donald Trump was so successful, and of course why he should be praised for the Abraham Accords. When people say, "What name one thing that Donald Trump has done?" Well, I mean, I could name many, but the Abraham Accord was a massive one there in the Middle East. It's absolutely extraordinary. But because when the left doesn't think of it, when it isn't part of what the left or the globalist narrative is, they try to shut everyone down. They try to silence everyone. And this is what happens when they're in full and control of power. But of course, Tucker is an American journalist, so he's able to do these things. And he paid for all this himself. The lawmaker who has called for the EU to explore imposing a travel ban on Carlson, described Carlson as a mouthpiece of former President Donald Trump and Putin, adding, as Putin is a war criminal and the EU sanctions all who assist him in that effort, it seems logical the External Action Services examine his case as well. Okay, so if people are going to negotiate with Putin, say over a peace deal, or they're going to make negotiations because he's still providing oil and gas to these countries, so if they talk to him, that's totally fine. But if Tucker Carlson talks to him, what they're afraid of is Putin is going to reveal his side. He's going to express his thoughts. He's going to express his ideas. He's going to tell everyone why he did what he did, and he's probably going to go after the EU. He's probably going to go after NATO. He's probably going to go after the U.S. And, of course, we already know, just anecdotally, is that the U.S. is involved in a proxy war with Russia. Look at how much we have given them. Look how much money we've given them. Look how many material we've given them. We've got assets on the ground. We have specialists over there helping them out. So Putin will probably reveal all of this, and they're over here talking about how they want to sanction him. How are those sanctions working out, by the way? He still seems to be going. Again, not here to defend Vladimir Putin. But the idea that the U.S. media, the establishment here, and the globalists would be upset because Tucker Carlson did something on his own with his own money. You know, he went there and spoke to them. Now, they could be jealous that they're speaking to him, but this is what I've always told you guys. They are terrified of the influence. They are terrified that someone is going to expose them, that someone is going to be allowed to speak like Donald Trump, because they're always trying to censor him. In his court cases, the judges try to silence Donald Trump. How many times have you ever seen anyone ever try to silence a Democrat? Where have you ever seen that? Where have you ever seen in any ruling or any case or anything where they tried to silence a Democrat? Now, granted, maybe the Democrats will comply, and of course, you know, they'll be pacified and domesticated. But the point being here is Tucker Carlson is not committing a crime by going and interviewing Vladimir Putin. And of course, they had to take all of these jabs at him by, you know, mentioning Fox News and mentioning being a mouthpiece, really, of former President Donald Trump. That's absolutely absurd. This is all hyperbolic language. It's absolutely ridiculous. Newsweek reached out to the Tucker Carlson Network by email to request comment on Wednesday morning. This article will be updated if a response is received. Explaining his motives for the interview, Carlson said in a video statement on Tuesday, most Americans have no idea why Putin invaded Ukraine or what his goals are now. Exactly. Because everything we hear each day comes out of our establishment Uni-party media and as well as out of Europe. We're not here because we love Vladimir Putin. We are not encouraging you to agree with what Putin may say in this interview, but we are urging you to watch it. You should know as much as you can, and that's it. That is simply hearing. I listen to the left all day long. I listen to the left. I read their articles. I read what they say. I'm not trying to stop them. I counter their arguments with reason, with rationality, with common sense. What's practical? What's functional? What's reasonable? What's actionable? What can we do? Because a lot of the things they say are just ideological. There isn't any substance to it. You know, it's just like Joe Biden screaming about how the border problem right now is a result of Donald Trump, which is stupid because Joe Biden is the chief executive of the United States. He has the power to shut down a border. He does not need Congress. He doesn't need the Senate. He doesn't need anyone. He just needs to shut it down. And I can prove it to you. They shut the borders down during COVID. Did they not? Did not the world leaders shut down the borders due to COVID? Now, COVID obviously is a reason for shutting it down, but the President of the United States as a chief executive can shut down the border. That's what he can do. He doesn't need anyone to tell him that he can or can't. He can be challenged on it, obviously, but he can do it. The EU's External Action Service, EAS, is the bloc's diplomatic arm responsible for foreign policy. For an individual to be added to the EU's sanction list, oh my God, evidence must be presented to the EAS for review. If deemed sufficient, the EAS can then present the case to the European Council, the body made up of EU national leaders, which takes the final decision on whether to impose sanctions. That's ridiculous to me that they would waste the time, the energy. I wouldn't doubt it because this is what they like to do. They like all the paper pushing. They like all the pencil writing. They like all of this decorum and showmanship. But when it comes down to the brass tacks of getting stuff done, they wait till last minute, because if they wanted to take care of Russia right now, they could. They could come up with a casus belli. They could come up with something to go after Russia. But this is a protracted long war, because what they're trying to do is they're trying to just drain Russia of all of its resources, just weaken them by virtue of attrition. And unfortunately, the Ukrainian people are paying the price. But you see, yesterday when we talked about the immunity, or you know, the D.C. court saying that Trump didn't have broad immunity. And, of course, I explained all that to you, that he can still appeal, and it was just a play on words. But as you can see here, this is why they're terrified. Nikki Haley lost to none of these candidates. None of them. I mean, no one selected Nikki Haley. It was Mike Pence, Tim Scott, and John Castro was all on there. Of course, Trump will be on it tomorrow. As of this recording, it is now Wednesday, February the 7th, but tomorrow will be February the 8th, and then, of course, Trump will appear on there, and he will completely destroy Nikki Haley like he will in South Carolina. But you guys have been amazing across New Tech. Thank you guys so much for the recent support. It's greatly appreciated, and, of course, all of you guys here on YouTube. And basically, that's what I have for you guys this week, and I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comments. Is this not an illustration, a continuing illustration of what the globalists and the establishment do, try to shut people down? Appearing there on the screen, that will be the channel icon. You guys can click on to subscribe, as well as to select notifications. That way you know when there's content here on the channel. And I'll see all you guys in the next video.